Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the episode 4, round 2 recap and the Sweet 16 preview of the Wildcard Podcast with G and KT. We got a great episode for you guys. A lot of upsets that have happened once again. A lot of surprises in the Sweet 16. We apologize for G's mic right there. But let's get to it. G, thank you for taking time out of your day, man. What a crazy round. I want to give some opening thoughts before we dive right into it.
I mean, yeah, and on the topic of the mic, I think at this point I'm gonna have to look into the shop or something because this has been happening for a while and there's not been a clear solution. We've tried a few things and it just keeps coming back, just like itch that never wants to go away. So we'll hopefully get that sorted soon. But I mean, yeah, definitely a crazy round. Saw a lot of similar things we saw from the first round and overall, I do think there's a lot to jump into. We're in the Sweet 16, so we're really jumping down to our early look at some of the contenders for the rest of the season here. But these are going to be people who are leading the pack to start out, so I think it's going to be interesting to see and to take a close look at these remaining 16 players.
Absolutely. We'll get those remaining 16 players on the second part of the episode. Let's get to the first part of the episode, though, starting with the Mr. Chalk region, as I like to call it. Squeaky clean region. We'll start with Diego Yepez versus Zay. Great job from Yepez. Early in the game, he sounded a little bit more trounced. He seemed a little bit more hesitant on his playing style, but once he got to a 2-1 and started to overtake Zay, there was no catch again. Play a little mind games with the power play, asked Zay to use it, and Zay did not oblige until the end. Wasn't enough. The champ just continues to be the champ, having that momentum. I'm pretty sure, he is 7 out of 8 right now. Since last Super League, where he won 5-1, he's won 7 out of his last 8 series, basically. He's on a hot streak. This is not a surprise. Thoughts on the champ here as he moves on to the Sweet 16.
I mean, I did say at the start, I think Yepez was equally likely to make the Final Four as he was to get out in the first round, and he's out of this first round and is on a roll right now. Gone through 2 rookies so far, is going to go up against a veteran in this next round, so it is going to be a bit of a different challenge, but it is going to be interesting because we're going to get to who that veteran is because I think it's someone who not a lot of people were expecting, but on the front of Yepez, yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. He's made it to this point. Took care of business both times, 4-2 against 2 rookies, so yeah, let's jump over to his opponent, which caught some people by surprise, even though technically this was projected.
Yeah, everything's great about that one, right? Everything's great.
Everything is great. Looking forward to get to the racetrack, and I forget the rest of the quote. Anyways.
Yeah, get back in my car. But anyway, Jesse Turner, what a win. You know, there was a couple things I looked at Turner's game. Obviously, G was streaming that game. I was kind of on the spectator stands. I was on the grandstands. A lot of great ammo control from JT. I did not expect that. Though, I have to say, G, he did really get lucky on that power playing game. So I don't know. That was probably his only mistake. He left the door open. But other than that, he played discipline. For Ard, a case of I don't know if he expected Jesse with ammo control. There was, I believe, 3 times where a +4 was played to finish the game. I remember that pretty clearly. Since I wasn't really commentating, I can see more things. It was a case of I think Ard just took it a little bit more lightly on the style, and Turner came out with the element of surprise. I don't think he did his famous 9 cards as much. If he did him, it was once. Usually he likes to do it 2 or 3 times as he loses on it. So he did a great job. I think JT deserves this spot. He's not even a veteran. He's a master. He keeps the master battle alive. Yepez is a legend. So those 2 classes are thinning out, but JT will have his biggest test for sure. You got to play the world champ next. Thoughts on this one against Ard, though, how he defeated Ard and took care of business?
I think I said it in the last episode. I think Turner needed to go into this matchup and fix the things that went wrong in the first matchup, and I think he did exactly that. And even then, still made some mistakes, especially with you said like that power play. I think he really got bailed out there with the very questionable call there. But he definitely used his ammo a lot better. Used a lot of better color switching, better color control. And a lot of improvement from that first game. Ard was taken as a favorite into this game, and Turner ended up showing out everyone, proving everyone wrong. So, again, I still think there's imperfections in this game that he needs to fix, but we've seen him fix it the first time around. So, potentially the second time around against a much bigger challenge in Diego Yepez, I think if you asked people about 2 months ago who would win this matchup, I think there wouldn't be a single person who would pick Turner to win this. But I think after what we've seen recently, I don't think you could count Turner out. As to who I pick for that matchup, you'll have to see when we get to our prediction segment. But it's going to be more interesting than I initially thought it would have been.
Yeah, very, very great job for JT. Did what he had to do, right? New look Turner looks good. Let's see if he has that clean shaven look, though. You got to play clean. You got to play precise. World champions up next. Speaking of clean and precise, this man has had no challenges so far. Arguably, probably a top 3 player in this tournament remaining. Mr. Charles Sanford. What can you say, G? 4-0, took care of business. I did say this would be a cakewalk, and I was right on that one. I just didn't look at Bowtie's game enough to where he could scare Sanford, and Sanford was clean, disciplined, and most importantly, Charles Sanford, right, with power play, with good ammo control. In a regular season game, he's hard to beat. I got nothing to add here. It's pretty much Charles Sanford cakewalk. Is that how you saw it?
I mean, I saw it too. I mean, for this first part of this tournament so far, I don't think Sanford's really had any challenges. I don't think the opponents he's been given have really been much of a struggle, and he's kind of had one of the easier paths to get into the Sweet 16 here. But now Sanford's got a bit of a challenge ahead of himself here. I think this is the first real challenge of this tournament for him so far coming up. But yeah, I think Bowtie felt lost the entire game, and there was really nothing to it. I think this game was over the moment game one ended.
It was over the game one end for sure. I think Bowtie even said, enjoy your sweep entering game 4. So that was an interesting moment. Pretty funny, but we'll see what Charles Sanford can do against his next opponent, because this one felt like a payback from the bot. Clay was getting the hands all against Seth. He didn't get the hands against Brando. I think this was more of a little bit different scenario. Seth tried, but he was just never getting lucky. Clay was getting all the hands, and it was just a master class on Clay, but more master class on the bot. That's what I would look at. The bot favored him. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Sanford versus Clay. I'll about that a little bit in the recap 16 pre-recap.
Whoa. Hold on a second. We're having a slight audio issue. Could you say that again? Kind of got staggy all over the week. See, could you repeat what you just said?
Hello, 10-4 test.
Yes, you were good now.
Oh yeah, I was saying it was just a slight. Oh, it's happening. We apologize, folks. We do apologize. Like I said, we're going to get G's audio suffered. It's suffered enough. We're going to try to get that situated soon. It's been suffering. But I said basically it was a cakewalk for Clay, mainly because the bot gave it what he needed, right? The bot gave the ammunition. And you give Clay a couple of special cards, G, it's usually game over. Thoughts on this matchup as a recap?
I honestly think the only thing that surprised me about this matchup was the fact that it was a sweep. That I didn't really see coming. I thought Seth had a good first round, but as you said, I think Clay kind of got paid back with the abysmal hands he was getting in the first round there. Was barely able to escape in a 4-3 last round, but gets a 4-0 sweep here. But it's going to be interesting. Obviously, you prefer those better hands, but we have seen Clay survive on those poor hands so far in this tournament. And again, I think he's someone who's riding momentum here, even from last year where he had that run to the finals in the final tournament. Just came up a bit short, but I mean, yeah, Clay's just riding the momentum here. Sweep, and I mean, yeah, he's running like what is like 8 and 9 on the last games he's played since tournament 5 or something like that.
Yep.
Let me think. Playing 32, 16, 8, 4, 7 for 8. He's 7 for 8 in the last matchup, in the last matches he's had. So he's on a hot streak. He's doing really good. And I expect Clay to be a contender here coming forward.
Okay, he's on the Yepes train, 7 out of 8, really hot, coming in with the fire. Let's see, Sanford's really good, though. He's one of those players, too, that he can turn it up. Even though he had a poor Super League, his regular season, that's where he shines. That should be a good matchup. Probably one of the best matchups of the entire round. We'll get to that in a little bit later. It's time to chomp down some nom, because this man, this young kid, excuse me, he's turning into a stud so far. Took care of M4-2. Really impressed with his patience game, man. Everyone said, oh, he's too quick on the button. He made a couple errors a little bit early on. I think that was just nerves on the stream for the first time. Really settled in. The 5-game call out was a little weird. He said he tried to call out M but couldn't do it, would have won the game. But that's just learning, right? And he got the 4-2. This is a dark horse in a lot of people's eyes. the young Florida native man, the rookie. He's getting the job done against people twice. It's 2 in a row. Ellison and M were twice his age in terms of life experience. And this kid's showing that he could prove to be one of the best in this league, especially for the rookie class stacked. Give us your thoughts on this match, G. Now I'm taking care of business.
I mean, yeah, we saw beat Varigold in the first round here, but Nam was able to kind of put that light out in terms of a potential run. But I mean, overall, I think it's been an interesting ride so far for Nam. Won both games he's been in so far, 4-2, and he's been playing people who are significantly older than him. But he's gonna have a bit of a different mix-up this time with the Sweet 16, as he's gonna be playing someone who's somewhat similar in age to him actually. So that might be a bit of a different challenge he's gonna have to face when he comes to it.
Yeah, it could be a different challenge for sure. I think now we'll see what he can do. Right now he goes into his second stream game, and he's going to be playing that aforementioned player, Chomik. That's a rivalry game. They both see each other, but for Chomik, this was just a weird game, G. England made a lot of mental mistakes. Missed Uno called, I think, I want to say 3 times in one game. Ammo control was just different. Started to admit as the game went on, he started to get a little sick. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. But it wasn't it. You know, he had a great run against Dark. Played over 3 hours. I think 3 hours and 20 minutes of Uno almost combined in just 12 games. So 3 hours and 20 in 12 games. Incredible work though to go that far, but just wasn't enough. Sam England will bite the dust. For Chomik though, you gotta think he's starting to show that, you know what, I'm a perennial contender. This is going to be a really good match in the 16. Thoughts on Chomik, especially with the time zone difference, how he's proven to be one of the better rookies as well.
I mean, Trauma coming in was definitely one of the rookies you had to watch out for. I mean, we were saying this from the start. He's definitely a contender for even this region, despite being the 13th seed. Which, again, I digress. But it's that matchup. I mean, oh man, it's just I think Sam England has a lot of similar traits to Dark, and the difference is Sam's a rookie, so there's some things he might not know, but I think that round one with Dark was not a great influence for him. So I think he kind of just got collapsed there, and Chomik kind of just took care of business. But Chomik versus Nam is going to be one of the more interesting matchups of the round. I think it's a clash of two rookies that some people have high hopes for, and some are like waiting to see something out of. So it's going to be interesting. One of them is going to make the Golden Road region final. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll flip it to the other side here with a result that I actually called. I'm going to check the tape. I actually called this. So, Katie, I'll hand it off to you, but I'm going to take some credit for myself here.
Yeah, you absolutely need to, and this was Retro Larahuo. Retro was coming in as that DQ or the DQ win player, no tape and no film, and didn't look good early. It was down 2-0. Now, I wasn't there for the whole game. I did study some tape. A couple interesting questionable calls on Larahuo, I will admit. But Retro had that clutch gene, and you were right. You know, sometimes when you have less data, it takes a little bit to study on you. He did a great job closing out the series. Very good ammo control at the end. Not so much to begin, but the end was great. Seemed pretty consistent with his plays. Good number efficiency. Liked the color control as well. And really just knew how to be fundamentally composed. It really comes down to composure, G. These series, especially when they go 6 and 7, and next round when they start going 8 and 9, you got to really know when to close it out in game 6 and 7. You can do everything great in the first 5, but if it's still 3-2, there's still a chance, right? And that's where Retro came in and said, you know what, let me seal the deal. Great job in game 6 and 7. Despite giving up game 6, did a really good job in game 7 to rebound and get the 4-3. I'll give this one to G because it's his show on that one for sure. Good take on that one.
Yep. A lot of people were going in with Lara no contest. I think people missed out what happened in the first round, where so many people with zero data, so many people who got misseeded, ended up coming out and taking out a lot of big names and also coming out with big performances. Retro, it didn't start out great, but he did exactly that. Didn't have a lot of data, and he gets the job done against Lara, who had a big win in the first round. Lara couldn't really close out the deal, but Retro was able to stay cool, composed, wins it in 7. So he's looking to make a bit of a run here. But overall, I that's the feeling I had going into it, that Retro was no data, and with how we've seen things go so far, I think that's to his advantage, and it absolutely did. He's going to enter the Sweet 16 with a little bit of data now, but again, still not as much as the other rest of the field. So Overall, I think it's gonna be a unique advantage Retro has, and it's gonna be up to him to see how he utilizes it.
Yeah, I think Retro will be that unique advantage. And speaking of that unique advantage, oh boy, this next one, Brian Eli. What do we have to say about Brian Eli? Well, Eli just dominated this match, 4-1. It was over after game two. Despite the 1-1, I never felt Brian was in it. He tried, he gave it his best shot, but this one, too much Eli. He was the more superior opponent. You look at his first round and second round. Hasn't been challenged, but I think the challenge is coming. I don't think we can just say, this is a cakewalk for him playing Retro. I think Eli's going to have to step it up a little bit because you can't underestimate anybody, and Retro is going to bring the heat, especially with less data compared to Brian and Edward, who's had, 6 tournaments worth of data in some cases, and Brian, I think Ed's had 5 now. That's 11 tournaments worth of data. Retro's in his first. Thoughts on this one?
Well, I'm gonna bring this segment up again. I'm gonna have some audio with it. This is my my worst match of the round for the round of 32. So this was a disaster class of a game on Brian's end. We saw it in the first round where there was times where it's like, I want this to end quickly, even if it meant losing. He wins, goes to the next round, and kind of just fuddles around and doesn't really do anything. Again, I think this is a similar situation with Eli last round, where he just kind of took advantage of the opponent just being completely out of it and just walks on through. So that's another 4-1 for Eli. Again, he's getting a bit of an easier path to the Sweet 16, but he's got to take full advantage of it because, especially if you win this tournament, doesn't matter how easy that path was or how hard that path was, you're in Super League. Doesn't matter. No one can take that away from you. So I think Eli needs to get an early jump on the league this year and take advantage of this path he's been given.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of things surrounding Eli right now. We're not going to get into a lot. But we do wish him the best, and we're just praying for the best there on that end. That everything works out. We'll talk about the Sweet 16 for the Golden Row, which will be Nam Chami Red for Eli. But let's move over to the Rainbow Road G, and let's start it off with the sneak attack with KT, because that was basically the series. 3 sneak attack wins. The KT special. I don't really want to talk too much about my game, so I'll let G take this one for sure. Go for it, G.
I mean, if we're talking about being a ninja, I think KT was essentially the ninja of Uno here. A lot of sneak attacks. Acosta was completely caught off guard a lot of the time. It took 3 attempts before Acosta finally caught on, but even then, that was just a table check and not a call out. So once he got exposed, KT quickly covered his tracks. But yeah, I mean, Acosta just made a lot of silly mistakes in this game. He was not tracking the cards. He was not really using the table to the best of his abilities. So I think Acosta made a few mistakes here in terms of winning these games out. He did get 1 series win in the end, but I think that inexperience with going a second round in the tournament kind of caught up with him. And when you go against KT, it's kind of a difficult situation. But yeah, I think Acosta's going to take what he learned from that KT matchup and use it to do better in the rest of the tournaments this season.
Absolutely. I taught him the lessons. He now knows what to do. He needs to check the table check. Don't let the table check it every 10 seconds, right? Every couple minutes is good, and that will get you solidified, especially in a stream game where there is table checks more often and refs are around and whatnot. So I expect Acosta to do well. He's still one of the best out here in terms of getting to the first 2 rounds, I think. Has Sweet 16 potential. Just needs the right matchups. Well, we go from one of the more sneak attack ninja series to what the heck was that? This was the game of the round. DJ Curtis Brock. DJ down 3-1 early. Brock seemed to have all the control in the world. And then all of a sudden, game 5, okay. DJ wins. You can chalk that up to Brock just having a little bit of lackadaisical moment for sure. But then game 6, DJ, he just starts firing ammo out the wazoo. And the problem was, I counted, he had 16 action cards and lost. DJ was basically suffocating him using some KT classics, which was interesting, to get that game 6. But when he got to a certain point, neither player had any ammo, and he ran it down using actual skill. That turned into more of a skill fest the last 2 games, more than most series would in the clutch. Talk to me about DJ, how clutch he was. I know you weren't there for it, but just that was one of the best series of all time, considering it only went an hour plus. Excuse me, an hour short, just 1 minute short of an hour. It was one of those action-packed series that went an hour plus on the stream, but 59 minutes of game time. just talk to me how DJ Curtis improved his show. That was probably his coming out party. Honest to God, that was it.
I mean, I did end up getting to watch the game afterwards, but we talk about players who are kind of just in it for the vibes, and people who are in it to be serious. Curtis is one of those players who's hitting for the vibes. You would throw him in that group with like Clint and Reem when he was here in D1. Probably, I would probably say Drip to an extent too, but not the same breadth of Clint. But DJ's really someone who's here for the vibes. He just flows with whatever, and this was quite the shocking performance because I think a lot of people actually slated Brock to get the upset and win here, but Curtis held strong. He was able to make it a 3-1 comeback and took the series win in a great series overall, but I think it's just really a what if for William Brock because I remember specifically Sanford saying that it should have been a sweep in Brock's favor and that he made a huge mistake in game 1 that cost him.
Yes.
I believe it was a +4 at Uno. So big mistake by Brock there. Becomes a major what if. Brock's one of the people who people were expecting to do well as a rookie, but goes out in the round of 32, and it might have just been in his hands. We've seen a few people throw away games, which end up throwing away the series in this tournament so far, and that might have just been another situation of that. So big what if for Brock. He's going to probably take that lesson and learn from it going forward.
Yeah, Brock was your top rookie. I think he can still bounce back. Still a solid top 25 finish. Right, it's early. It's early in the season. I think that's good to deliver a base. And gee, you know what they say: as long as you're in the top 25, entering T4 or 5, you're in the hunt, and that's really the key. But if you're past 25th on back, you got to think about winning. So
Yeah,
it's good to get the
definitely.
1-on-1. And there's a lot of guys that are 0-1. You'd rather be 1-1 than 0-1 for sure. Speaking of throwing the game away and sickness, this is Mr. Bradical Sick. Uh,
The
I don't know how
plague doctor.
a flag doctor. How does he find a way? But honestly, I didn't see this game. Even studying back the tape, I really don't know what to think about it. A lot of weird plays from Stingray. Just not the same Sting I thought we were going to see when he played Drip. A lot of weird plays from Brad, too. Just a weird series after dark. A lot of random stuff thrown around the chat. I don't know, G. This was just a weird one to chalk up. I'm just going to say Brad did a great job in terms of just staying a little bit more composed. But the plague doctor strikes again, man. Is he going to do it again? Who knows? What's your thoughts?
Before I keep going, I would just like to say I'm seeing if Plague Doctor can stick on because, I mean, with a lot of these rookies, they're trying to make a name for themselves and get those nicknames. We know the GOAT with KT, Sandman with Charles Sanford, Area with Air promo, something with Air.
Aria, yep. Clay Wolf, the Lone Wolf. Yep.
Clay the Lone Wolf. I guess me with Mr. Miami, although I've not been living up to that so far. Brad might have one of his own. It might not because of gameplay, but because of the fact that for some reason his opponents just keep getting sick. So his nickname might end up being the Plague Doctor. Let me know what y'all think about that. But yeah, I mean, Brad is a force to be reckoned with, not just on the table, but in terms of your health as well. So it's an interesting challenge that I don't think anyone had in their bingo card coming into the season, but if their Sweet 16 opponent gets sick, I think we're good. I think the rest of the Rainbow region is going to be in major concerns going into the rest of the tournament. But yeah, I was surprised by Stingray because even though he was sick, he seemed completely different than he was in his first round against Drip, which was a great series. It just kind of felt like he took a step back. I don't know how much of that was because of the illness, but sorry. But it just felt like there was things where he's kind of fumbling on and kind of felt a bit confused on. So I think Stingray kind of just got a little confuddled overall, and hopefully this is just a one-off thing. But I was concerned after watching this game. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't become a trend. But Stingray, I don't think played very well in this. But Brad H moves on to the Sweet 16, and he's gonna go up against his opponent, who is hoping that they don't get sick when they face Brad.
Well, the good news about that said opponent, there's two things I'm going to say. He did say in the press conference last night, very rare, very kind of healthy guy, stays hydrated, gets good sleep. He's on that KT train of staying healthy. But the problem is, it's not who you think. Gee, this is, I got to go to you, man. You said Julio Cesar would win the whole thing, and that was just, I don't know what happened. I was there. I was there for that game, and it just not was. It wasn't Caesar, man. Power playing with I get it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a good power play in the moment, but when I look back, 17 cards, it just wasn't Caesar, man. I don't know if the game time, the fact there was no one watching other than myself, and then Eli came in 20 minutes later, or what, but Carson just had his number. He seemed more disciplined, way more effective on lower card starts. And then even when he got to the higher card starts, Carson just still found a way. And similar to how he played against Clint, just found a way to win, make less mistakes. Congrats to the kid. And congrats to the man. Actually, not even the kid. Congrats to the man because he's down a top sophomore. He's the only guy that has a class win. Everybody else is still scrambling. He's the one guy that can sit back and say, you know what, no matter what happens, I got a class win, which is big for the end of the season for sure.
I mean, I think when it comes to predictions, I called the retro game, but Caesar, I mean, this one I kind of whiffed on. I mean, you did say it. It didn't look like Caesar. I'm not really sure what happened there, but weird power play call. And Carson just kind of had his number, kind of just controlled the pace of the game. I was just really surprised, but I think Carson absolutely was the better player that day in the game. Caesar kind of just didn't look like himself, and I was a bit shocked by that. I think Caesar will come back stronger, but a disappointing outing for sure. Carson, I think, with the 4-2 is looking to make a run here. Has top sophomore, has a decent chunk of momentum. And it's also the only class that got locked up, as you said, which I'm kind of surprised because I'm gonna be honest, the Legend class was kind of struggling, but that battle's still going on. But yeah, I mean, it's Carson Brad. It's gonna be an interesting matchup. We're gonna have both of them first Sweet 16. Someone's gonna get their first Elite 8, so it'll be interesting. We got to monitor Carson's health going into the game because we know Brad seems to be carrying some illness along with him, but not his own illness, but something in the air. But we'll have to see about that. If Carson gets sick before or during the game, then the plague doctor is gonna strike. So we'll have to watch out for that. But let's move on to the final region. And oh boy, my favorite region of the whole bracket, the region that has lost all sanity, that is the Challenger Road region.
Yeah, it has lost all sense. Starting with ALP Kev, this one was a questionable game. And Kev had a 3-2 lead. There were some comments made that he likes to win organically. Had a power play in hand. I don't even know what to say on this one, G. I was there for the game, and it just felt like a Brad Stingray type game. It was not Brad Stingray. It was Brad Stingray. It was just inconsistent. Eh, I'm shocked ALP won that game. I'm very shocked. He is Mr. Supermax because 2 in a row in the clutch, 14 games in, he's 1-4-3, both away. But the difference is with the away was Peter and Kev. Peter is the superior opponent. Everyone thought he would lose. This one, a lot of people thought he could win. Actually pulled it off, in my opinion. So the 4-3s are different on paper. Is this the Cinderella run? Yes, but there's also so many Cinderellas that could be set in this region. Who really knows? Give me your thoughts on ALP winning at a squeaker.
Oh my god. I think the beautiful thing about this game overall is in the first round, where Kev was able to take the win, MGR had the game in his hands, and he handed it away by not playing a power play. Fast forward to the round of 32, Kev has the game of his hands in his hands, and he gives it away by not using the power play. So the story kind of writes itself there. Kev did not take that mistake from MGR, that I guess in a way that second life, and he kind of just did the exact same mistake that MGR did. So that costs him. I thought Kev could have had a run, but you can't be making mistakes like that. You got to close out the games when you can. LaPlante squeaks by another one. I don't know how long this run goes because he's going up against someone who has a lot of hype around them. And, I mean, yeah, it's a really strange path that LaPlante has gone, but we'll see how long he can keep it up. But I do think there's definitely still mistakes that were present in the first game that weren't really addressed, so I don't know if he's going to get away with it a third time if those mistakes aren't gone by the Sweet 16.
There's only once or twice you can get away with things, G, in life, and once you hit that third time,
you're out.
It's rare. It's rare. It's rare you get away with things. He's going to have to step it up because this next guy, I think he's for real. Nick had the 2-0 lead early. Understandable. Tried to play the pace management game. Understandable. Abian just comes out of nowhere, wins 4 straight, and doesn't elaborate. That's how his game is, though. He never elaborates. A little bit of trash talk, a little bit of fury between Nick and what do you call it, Abian during the game. A little bit of gamesmanship, but it just seems like this kid is one of those kids that can come out of nowhere. He's done it to Yoshi. He's done it to Nick. 2 different competitors. I like what I'm seeing here. I think you got to look at him as one of those favorites. I think the fact that he has the time zone difference can't always be an excuse. It was the first game at 10 a.m., but there are times where he's going to have to play in the morning, his time, and then we got to play at night here in the East Coast or whatever. I gotta think this is your dark horse if you have to say anything. Abian is the dark horse for sure. If we think Cinderella's ALP, this is the dark horse for sure. G, thoughts on this one?
I mean, yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well. I think Nick didn't play bad to start out, but Avion just kind of like was behind, and then he just took the game control by its horns and just ran with it. So pretty much down 2-0, and then just wins 4 straight. Kind of storms into the Sweet 16. I think there's a lot of good things to like about Abion. I think there's a lot of momentum he's riding, and it's going to be an interesting matchup against LaPlante, who's kind of been taking advantage of players kind of making mistakes so far. We haven't seen that a ton out of Abion, so I'll be interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking dark horse, I agree. I think Abion's definitely a dark horse, but if we're talking about favorites, I think that's going to be seen in our next matchup, where we had a barn burner, Game 7 Classic between Ashley and Captain. I'll throw it back to you, KT. Walk me through this one.
Gee, we apologize for G's mic once again. That is G, get to mute your mic, man. That's getting a little rough. Yeah, you're good. Sorry about that, folks. G's mic's a little bit off. This next one was an absolute barn burner. Ashley was really early, just seemed to be dominating the game. Obviously was up 2-0, then took a little bit of a hit. Then Cap just roared back on these low card starts. It was a low tide game. And once we got to 3-3, it just seemed like Captain really tried to go a little bit different, a little more aggressive, whereas Ashley just stayed composed like a world champ. And in my humble opinion, this is the player that has probably the most tested, so battle tested, right? You can win domination in the first game against H, but then when you got to go to a game where it's a nail biter, chips are all in, you got to make sure you squeak it out in 7. Ashley stood up to the podium and said, I'm taking that. Now it's 2 wins in a row with different styles of wins. Probably the most complete player because of the people she's faced. Has to be the favorite in this region. I have nothing but great things to say. I would say right there, probably the best rookie right there with Nam, for sure, that I've seen in Abion and Chomik. Those have been the class of the 4 of the best rookies. I think this is her region to lose, but we'll see what G thinks.
I fully agree here, and again, I'm gonna just keep monitoring the mic, so it's not too much of an issue. But yeah, in my opinion, I think whoever won this game was the favorite to win the region. Again, this was a absolutely brutal pod. From start to finish, 4 incredible players, and only one was able to make it out of it. And it's going to be Ashley who makes it out. I think both players played great throughout. It was a low card battle as we were expecting, but Ashley was able to hang on, was able to run one of the more distance games, which I think Captain got a little caught off guard by, but was still able to manage around, just came up short. But yeah, I think you said it. I think Ashley's the favorite to win the region. In my opinion, I'm going to take it a step further. Like, I cannot fathom a world where Ashley does not win this region. Like, I would be flabbergasted if she does not make the Final Four, but we'll have to see. We'll move on to our final matchup here, which I think was another one that caught a lot of people off guard. KT, how about you start us off?
Yeah, the Vapor Monkey. Let's start with Vapor. You know, he loves the 6-card starts. Don't get me wrong, the 6-card starts are great. But it was game 3 when he had the power play, he basically hesitated a little too early, and that was the difference. If he doesn't use that, I think he wins this series. It's just a rookie mistake. And we talked about veterans making rookie mistakes, and unfortunately, the 2 big 3 lines coming in were Vapor and Caesar to watch. And what happened? Neither of them are here, right? And you look at Vapor, his game has to improve. He said it in the post game. I'm not going to harp on him too much. Sorry for the mic again. All right, it's 12. It's 12 to 15 cards. That's it. He needs to work on the 12 to 15 card game, and he starts working on those higher starts. I think he can evolve. That's his next chapter. For Monkey, he's always been good in March. Yes, I gave him that third chance last year. All right, let's kind of put that to the side. His March track record's been really good, and now he's going to play his first game actually in the month of March. Because remember, the last games were in April, except for DJ and Chomik, who won. They were in March, but now they have actual March experience. He's going to have March experience. I think he could pull a surprise, maybe give Ashley a hard time, but that's as far as I'll go. I still think, like you said, Ashley's the favorite in that region. But Monkey, you know what? He's now 2-0, G. No matter what happens, 2-1 at the worst. He's got a good, solid head start. You don't want to give this man a solid head start. He could find his way into Super League bubble contention by season's end for sure.
I mean, definitely, and you saw it there. You saw it there in the matchup. Vapor kind of made a few mistakes. I mean, he also for Game 7 decided to go for a gamble with 5 cards, and it absolutely backfired in his face. So, ran the risk, got bit for it, and Vapor is now done for the tournament. As Monkey keeps moving on, something about these March tournaments seems to play in Monkey's favor, but I think he's got a very, very big challenge up ahead in Ashley. Might be the higher seed, but I don't think a lot of people are favoring him going into this matchup, and I think he knows that as well. So, when it comes to giving Ashley a hard time, I hope that's on the deck or on the gameplay and not for other reasons, because we've had historically some things with Monkey that he's a bit goofy with, but hopefully he shows up to the game, gives up a good fight, maybe could pull off a huge upset, but we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm saying Omalak is like I'm trying to think, but I don't really got much to say with Monkey. I think most of what he has is what we've seen so far. I don't really know what else is hidden up his sleeve. So, if anything at all, but we're gonna have to see what happens when it comes to that matchup.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. We're going to move on to topic 2. Will be overall thoughts of this tournament so far. I'll start it off. Obviously, not a surprise. You have the 4 best players, in my opinion, still left in one region in terms of just history, class rank, and pedigree. You look at Yepes, 7 out of 8. Clay, 7 out of 8. Charles Sanford, we know what he can do. Jesse turned 3 Elite 8s last year. This is the best region in terms of class, in terms of pedigree, and championship caliber. I'm not surprised. I think the one thing I will say, though, I did say this region could get chaotic in this round. Stay tuned for that. We'll see. But with the results that happened the last round, it may not. It could easily be Turner Clay into the Elite Eight, but it could just be as easy as Sanford Yepes. It's going to be the most even-keeled region. What do you think, G, about that champion region to kind of give an overall thought on that for sure?
It's weird because like we've been used to like all the chaos that's happened so far, and usually like in other tournaments you see some like chaos with the seeds, but like this region has, in terms of seeding, has had one upset, and it was an 8-9. So that's really like, kind of like a question mark if you even consider that an upset. So this region has been going as projected, but maybe too projected. I mean, it's really surprising because you see all the chaos around the rest of the bracket, and then you look at the champion road, and it's just 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen. But it's been one of those interesting regions to say the least. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the champion road, I mean, maybe you could make an argument for Seth with how he played in round 1, but even then, I do think the 4 players left were the 4 best in this region to start, and definitely by seeding at least. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because then you look at the other side of the bracket, and it's 9 versus 13 and 3 versus 15. So it's already chaotic there. Only one projection right there, and it gets even worse as you go along the rest of the bracket. So. Very calm bracket. We'll move to the Golden Road. I think this comes down to a battle of the rookies and whether or not Eli takes advantage of what he's given. I think this is. I don't know if this is his region to lose because I think the winner of Nom Chomik is definitely going to be a challenge, but I think they should try to be able to take care of at least a retro. But we'll have to see what happens. But it's been interesting so far, to say the least.
Yeah, the moment we lost Varigold, the moment we lost Arya, once again, still praying due to unfortunate circumstances. And in my opinion, the moment we lost Tygo, because a lot of people thought Tygo would take that next step,
Taco
didn't
just didn't.
happen.
Taco just didn't show up. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know where he went, but he did not show up for March. Maybe he'll be back in April. Maybe.
Yeah, well, actually, it could be still be back in March because the way we're going, we could be starting in March. But that's another topic for another day. You're right, G. You pretty much summed it up. There's basically 3 out of the 7 rookies are left. That's in this region. You got to think Nam and Champic are seeing red. Retro has an incredible opportunity. We could get an all rookie Elite Eight. It's very possible. And that would be something, right? To have that. Then we have some of the most prestigious guys up top in the champion road. I think this region is going to be an opportunity region. Then I'm circling that Nam Champic game. Whoever wins that game, I think, controls the cards. Eli, he's got some personal things he's dealing with right now. Hard to read on him where his mental capacity will be. If he can get through that, you would think he's the favorite, but if he can't, it's hard to say where he'll go. I think those are it. The next region, it's it's kind of the old school heads versus the new school kids on the block. Gee, that's pretty much it.
I would
The
say
DJ
so.
and I, DJ and I have been around this game, the NR community, life, 50 years of combined life experience versus Brad and Carson, who are just the kids on the block. DJ and I have been playing this game for, what did he say? 37, 38 years. Brad and Carson, I can't even touch that. So it's an old school head game versus the new school kids. I think out of these 4, obviously I control the cards because I'm still the 1 seed. But I can't overlook Brad or Carson, especially Carson, because the way he's playing to take care of Caesar in that style fashion, and if he doesn't get sick and the Brad plague finally ends there, which we think it should, he's got to be the guy that would challenge, and it could be a K-squared battle between the Carsonist and KT. We'll see, but that's what a lot of fans think. What says Yuji on this region?
I feel like a lot of people are gonna jump the gun and say KT's gonna win this region. I would hold the horses there. I think Curtis had a phenomenal game last round. I think he's gonna give KT a challenge here. Um, I think it will be KT. I actually think with how he played last round, I think it will be KT's biggest challenge so far in this tournament. But it's gonna be interesting. I feel like on paper KT should win this, but we've seen that the paper or the script for this tournament has been ripped to shreds. So who knows what's gonna happen. And you got the other side, Carson, Brad. I think the main topic going into that is how healthy will Carson be going into this, because we've seen how Brad's opponents have been, and it's interesting because like even then, like I feel like the main thing with Brad is like whether the opponent's sick or not, but I think it's also he's been kind of learning as he's gone along, because I think he made some mistakes in that first round game against Lamas, but was able to get away, and then I think he learned from some of them against Stingray. So I think he's kind of a learner. So we'll see if he can use that to his advantage to get some more info and use that to change his gameplay and turn out for the better. But yeah, it's been an interesting region so far. I feel like when it comes to regions in MRE Uno, this has been the most MRE Uno region. There's some parity, but then there's also some of the usual suspects. So we'll see that, and then let's move on to the Challenger region where all hell is broken loose.
Yeah, this is a region where we have a Cinderella and ALP. We truly have Monkey in the middle and Monkey, and then the favorites of Ashley, the clear favorite, and then almost like the pseudo favorite. I guess you're the salutatorian, I guess you could say, in Avion, because gee, I honestly can't see a world where it's not Ashley versus Avion in that Elite Eight. But there's a thing I like to say. You just, like you say, you can rip everything out because it is March, and you never know a Monkey. ALP is truly the shocker. I think if he gets past Avion, that would be a miracle. But for ALP and Monkey, the fact that they can potentially go to a 3-0 and have a chance to get to a regional final, if you would have told me Monkey would be in a regional final last year, I would have called you nuts. Maybe bananas, even to an extent, because this guy has shown not much, and now he's starting to show it at the right time, which is ironic because this is the one tournament we believe everyone's 100% turned up. Because after that, there's always going to be somebody, at least one person locked in. and they can always control the cards. Your thoughts on this region, though, and did I sum it up pretty well?
In my opinion, it's 3 coughing babies versus a hydrogen bomb, if you
Oh boy.
understand that. But the Plant Avion's going to be interesting again. I'm going to agree with you. I don't see how I don't see how the final of this region can't be Avion versus Ashley. I think they're far and away the two better players here. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this has been a chaotic region, and I think it's been too chaotic. Hopefully, we don't see something like this again to this level. But yeah.
Never know in this league, right, G? It truly has been a challenger region. It's been a challenging and yet challenger type of region, considering we have, what here, 2 rookies and a veteran. No, was it 3 rookies, right? Yeah, 3
Three
rookies
rookies.
and a veteran, just like the Eli situation. And remember, just the folks at home, the winners of regions 2 and 3 will play each other, and 1 and 4 will play each other.
Yep.
So that as goes as follows: the Champion Road will play Challenger, and Golden will play the Rainbow Road.
Just
All right,
jumping
let's
back to what you said before with Challenger region, like it's been chaos and like you've seen it. Like, unfortunately, I wouldn't know. I was unfortunately one of the victims of this chaos. But, anyways, that's gonna be that for Challenger region. You can move. You could lead us into our next segment, KT.
It's time to make predictions, G. It's going to be an interesting one, and of course, lastly, we end off with hot takes, and we'll go from there and we'll call it a night. Let's go with it. Let's start with that Champion Road region. It's been the most anticipated region in terms of chalk. A lot of hype matchups. Let's start it off right. Yepes versus Turner. Yepes coming in at 8-4, one of 2 legends remaining, while Turner has to deal with a trifecta of Masters with DJ over there and Sanford in his own class. Yepes obviously beat Leo 4-2, Zay 4-2, 8-4. All stream. Oh, real quick, all stream games from here on out. That's another
Yep.
thing to note. All stream games. And I got to go with, like I said, whatever the computer predicts. But I don't think the computer matters here because I really did have Yepes 5-3 in my heart. This is a truly Yepes game to lose. I like Turner. I think he's a great player. He knows how to be consistent. I don't know if consistency is going to work, though. And the main reason why, G, is it's a best of 9 and there's 2 power plays. I think that's the next step Turner needs to evolve is his power play game. It's great that he's got ammo control, but with 2 power plays and one of the best players that knows how to use it, give me Yepes here 5-3. I think he uses 2 power plays in games 7 and 8. It might even be 3-3 game 6, but I think he uses the last 2 power plays to finish the job and leaves Turner with his pants down with 1 left over. Thoughts on this one?
I I want to agree with you, but we've seen already that when Turner makes poor plays in a specific category, he fixes it the next round. And you're highlighting it. Power plays was not very good for Turner, but that could be the improvement area in this next round. And with 2 of them, he could show an improvement on that front. But it's interesting. We know Turner first 3 tournaments last year made the Elite Eight in all 3 of them. You could say it was easier to make the Elite Eight last year, but this year definitely has been through the grinder. Part of me wants to pick Turner so bad, but I just can't. I have to go with Yepes. I think Yepes has it locked down at this point. I've liked what I've been seeing out of Turner a lot. I think he actually has a legitimate chance to pull the upset here, but I just can't pick Turner. I just can't pull myself to it. I'm gonna go with Yepes here, but I think this could be a close game. I could see this going game 9, but we'll see. If Turner wins this, I'm not surprised. It could happen. Check the receipts when you come back here for episode 5, but. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Yepes, but I give Turner a very good chance to win this.
It's going to be a good one, right? If Turner plays new Turner style, has the ammo control, and actually works on that power play, okay. We have to give him that credit, and we have to eat crow. But does he have that extra gear? What does a champion have, G? What do I always say? Extra pedigree, always extra resilient. That's what Yepes has. Last year, I don't know if I would consider him that. But because he's got that champion label, and considering there is a champion, another world champion on the other side, even though it's not on the server, right? That's a motivating factor for anybody to try to be the best and protect the house. I think Yepes just has a little bit more extra chip. Though I will say on the flip side, Turner knows how to deal with those extra chips. What was Art doing? Everything's great, right?
Yeah.
And he dealt with that pretty good. So that he knows that look of how to talk to a trash talker, a mind game looker. It should be an interesting one. I still got Yepes though. I think he squeaks it out. All right, next one is the best game of this, possibly the entire round. I personally think this is just on paper the best. I'm not going to say it's the best in the league right now because there could be one or one that can contend with that. But on paper, this is the best game. Sanford Clay. Clay coming in 7-8. Sanford is probably the best power player in the league, and I would say the most experienced player now in the league. Congratulations to Charles Sanford, over 100 games in his career. That's impressive, man. To go over 100 games, he wasn't even here for T1. That's saying something. Give me Sanford 5-4. With all that being said, I think Sanford wins this because he has the more veteran experience. Clay is really good in best of nines. So does Sanford. I think Sanford's got a little bit more extra oomph with that power play. Clay is not the best with power play. He's even admitted it. He doesn't really care for it. Then you have to know that there's two of them here. If it was just one, I actually would favor Clay, believe it or not. But because of that second one, Sanford knows how to play with that, use the distance, know when to break. He's one of the best. He's probably the best at stopping a sneak attack, knows how to check the table at the right spot. I'm going to Sanford. It's still too early for him to play poker. I know he loves playing poker, the experimenter, the scientist, the mad Sandman scientist. But it's too early. It's still March. I think he gets it done, turned up here 100%. Going Sanford. In a 9, though. This one's going 9 for sure.
I mean, you talk about the experimenter. I mean, honestly, we saw how the experimenter worked in Super League last year, and that's really where it all comes to a head. So, I'm hoping he doesn't play poker, but if he does, I think that's to his own detriment. But I'm actually gonna flip the script on you. I think Clay. I'm actually thinking Clay wins this. I think he has so much momentum going into this right now. Of course, he didn't make Super League last year, but he didn't have that bad Super League because technically he wasn't in it. His last tournament was that September Survival tournament where he made it to the final, and he's riding that momentum wave into this new season. And I think that momentum is going to keep him going, and I could see a very deep run from Clay here. For the score, I'm not really sure. I'm thinking a 5-3, 5-3 here. I was about to say 5-4, but I was thinking I'm not sure if Clay would win in a game 9. So I think 5-3. I know you have the concerns about the power play here, but I think Clay's really gonna just try to save those up for the simple closer here. He doesn't want to get too fancy with it, which is fine, but it's a bit limiting. But I think it works. I think that's what the Clay might go for here. But yeah, I like what I've seen out of Clay so far. He was able to stay resilient in a tough game in the first round, was able to sweep in the second round with admittedly some favorable hands, but was able to get the job done. I think I'm going with Clay here. I know you're very very favorable in Sanford, but I think Clay just has all the momentum in the world. So I'm saying a Yepes Clay final for this champion road region here.
It can go either way. At the end of the day, if Clay wins, I wouldn't even be surprised because these two are probably the two best players that can challenge Yepes. Personally, from what I've seen so far, they're the two best. It's a flip of the coin. That is truly a 50-50. That could be, as Eli likes to say, El Clasico. That's your nominee for one. I think there's two of them because this next game I think is going to be it too. I know there's a lot of I may not get the most likes on that comment, but Nam and Chomik is a generational game for the youth, right? It's a game of they know each other, they've seen each other multiple times. They're only 1 year apart in age. They know how to play. Like I said, I have to go with the computer in every prediction. The computer says Nam 5-4. I tend to agree with that, and here's why. I think Chomik's a great player. You know, he beat Togo, he beat England, but there was some cracks against England that even when I think of composure, I always think if he can't say certain things. I know he likes to say GG. I think he stopped that, but there were some things I saw. Can he come back from 16 cards down all the time with no hands? Because he had no ammo. Not against Nam. Nam's gonna have way better ammo control. The thing for Nam is can he know now he's got to adjust back to his age, and can he know the opponent that isn't 2 times his age actually can play similar? Because of that, if it was someone 2 times, I think Nam would actually sweep or something. But because it's the same similar age, I think this is going to be a barn burner. I'm going to say this is going to be one of those games that are around. Give me Nam 5-4. It's going to be a squeaker. I remember I picked him to make Super League this year. I picked both these guys, but I think Nam takes it home in a squeaker 5-4. It's going to come down to a power play. It has to. It's one of those close games for sure.
I'm gonna be honest. I like Chomik in this matchup. I think so far he's done exactly what a lot of people were expecting out of him. Took care of business against Tago. Pretty much put Sam England to the curb. Pretty much. And I think this is going to be a situation again where Chomik's going to get like an early download, and I think really he's going to run it to the end. And I liked what I've seen of him in this tournament so far. I like what I see of him from Partner League Myths. He's been doing very well over there, bit of different rules, but I think the basic fundamentals still stay the same. So I like what I've been seeing out of Chomik as of late, and I think Nom's having some good plays here. I think he played well against Ellison, played well against M, took care of business there. I think the real challenge here is, I think it's somewhat similar to his age, and I think it's somewhere with the similar mindset where it's not necessarily survive in advance, but just take out the opponents one round at a time. And I think those philosophies are going to clash here. And in my opinion, and you mentioned this also with the time zone thing, I personally don't think it's as big of a factor as you think, but I think Chomik might have a slight advantage when it comes to the time zone, might be playing a little bit more favorable to his time. But overall, I think I just think Chomik has the better momentum going into this matchup as a whole when it comes to the last few weeks or so. So I'm going with Chomik. I'm going to say another 5-3, but this will be an interesting matchup to watch out for.
It'll go either way. I'm not even surprised whoever wins this game. These two matchups we just mentioned, the Clay Sanford and this one, either way. It can go either way. It's 50-50 games. This next one, I think, is turning into more of a 50-50 game. There's a lot of things surrounding Eli right now. I have to go with the computer, but I'm going to distance from the computer a little bit. I'm going to say Eli wins at 9 instead of the computer's 8. The reason why is there's just a lot of things surrounding Eli that I need to know where his head's at. We're going to know where his head's at game 3. By game 3, if his head's in the game, he'll start to take advantage of the series. If it's not in the game, G, it's going to be a slugfest. I'm going to go Eli here. It's not going to be easy, but I think Retro really could get this one done. I would not be surprised if Retro wins this. I just don't know where Eli's head's going to be. It's hard for me to really make a cap on this game because you kind of know the situation going on. I know the situation. It's not a good look. We just hope everything works out. But I'm going Eli. I had the faith that he would pull through. And those first 3 games, he would have a feel-out process to enough where Retro couldn't come back. But it will be tough for sure. 5-4 Eli.
I mean, if you asked me how this game would go about a week ago, I think Eli would be. I'd be in the similar mindset where like it should be Eli's to lose here. But with what's recently been going on, I think the circumstances have changed here, and it's interesting. I still think Eli's got to make it to the Elite Eight to consider this tournament at least a success and not a missed opportunity. But I think there's a lot of things that have been thrown their way, whatnot, and that things have changed a bit. Uh, I'm gonna still stick with Eli. I'm gonna actually agree with your prediction, Eli and 9, but the scripts changed a bit. We've seen distractions play a part into derailing someone's tournament, and I feel like that could potentially happen here. And I think Eli knows if that ends up happening, that's going to be a great shame because I think he's been given a great opportunity here to have an early run here in the league this season, but. I'm still gonna stick with Eli, but I think the things going on right now are a bit concerning, and it could throw him out of the loop and potentially cost him his tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. It comes down to intangible factors off the table. That's it. It goes as simple as that. Yeah, I'll say for Retro, I believe this is his first stream game, just like Clay for this year. I know Clay's had, I think, 1 or 2 stream games in the past, but Retro, this is his first time ever on a stream, similar to, I believe, Shamik, if I'm not mistaken, as well. First stream games ever. We'll see how those intangibles work, too, and how they handle that. No, actually, no, Shamik was last round. Retro, I think, has never been on one, so this is his first one
Yeah, it will be.
ever, for sure. For sure. Well, I can't make a prediction, G, for this next one because it's myself versus Curtis. All I'm going to say is, I've known DJ for a very long time. We're looking at 6 years here. He's Mr. Vibes, right? I don't think he's Mr. Vibes in this game. I think he'll have a little extra juice in this game after that performance. He was pulling out some Patty Mahomes gifs, and he was having some fun. Right? I don't think the fun's going to stop here. I think he'll give me a challenge. This will not be a 5-1 or whatever the heck the first two series were. It'll be more of a harder challenge. That's all I'll say. But you can only make the prediction, G, so I'll give this one to you.
I've been looking through this bracket, and with how this March has gone so far, I'm thinking like I think there's gonna be a matchup here that we don't expect to happen. I think there's gonna be something that goes the way that no one was really expecting. And I was looking around, and I was trying to find the matchup where I thought maybe it could be there. And unfortunately for you, I think I found my matchup where the big upset might happen. Um, I wanted at least one very bold prediction, and unfortunately, it's going to be this matchup. I have Curtis winning 5-4 in what would probably be a top three upset so far this season. I don't think a lot of people were expecting Curtis to go ball out across the wall to start things out, but I mean that I'm very impressed by that round of 32 game. I think there's a lot that he showed that he hasn't shown before, and I think he's really going to bring it. Not to mention, also, sometimes the bot has been unfavorable with some players, and we know in different leagues also, KT, you said it before, it's been, you've had some games where it's just not your day, and I don't, that's not something I usually, like, consider into a matchup, and that's not really something I'm considering there, but I think that's also something that it could potentially happen, and, um, I think Curtis has been playing very well, and I think it's going to match up very well against the style KT has to offer. So I'm going with Curtis in a very big upset, but I think the scoreline I'm going to pick is 5-3. But it's obviously the KT's the probably the favorite player here, and again, obviously, it wouldn't be surprising if KT won. But I wanted to make one bold pick here at least, and I think I've gone with this. So I have Curtis winning in a shocker.
Fair play, man. You never know, right? There were games last game where I was only getting numbers. I got lucky though because my opponent was only getting numbers. If it's a fair match, it's different, but you never know. It could go the other way. It could go the other way. Only we know the times of those games too, and we know that time is an interesting time because I believe it's the only day game. Everything else is at night. So we'll see. You never know. We'll see who's prepared. We'll see who's ready for that. I respect those predictions, right? You got to go bold, right? Just a little spice. This next one, I'm not going bold though. I don't want to go bold here. This is a Carson show. This needs to be the Carson show. We cannot have Carson getting sick here or some nonsense happening. I think Brad's going to be a great player because the series goes long. He even stated, I like the longer series. It's got to end right here, though. I think Carson will not get sick. That's my first. He won't get sick. I just don't see it. I can't see. From what he said in the press conference, he keeps his body in shape. Not going to get sick. I think Carson just has a little bit too much juice in this match. You just beat Caesar. And when you just beat Caesar, Caesar shows you a lot. And you should have that pedigree to move over and take care of the next opponent. And usually people who lose to Caesar do really well. So I'm going to go Carson here. I think this one goes 8. Give me Carson 5-3, though, for sure.
I'm also going to go Carson 5-3, but if Carson gets sick on the day of the game, I'm instantly switching my prediction to Brad 5-2. That's obviously something I can't just go into the episode and suddenly change it, but I think Carson wins this one. I think Brad's been having a fine debut tournament so far, but I think the road ends here for him, unfortunately. I think Carson's been playing great so far. Had a great showing against Caesar. Took care of business there. Took care of business against Clint there. So he's kind of been through all sorts of different players here. So I think Carson knows the variety of players when it comes to this league, and I think this is just another example of it. And I think he's able to handle that variety. So I'm going with Carson in a 5-3 here. But again, if Carson gets sick of the during the game, my prediction automatically changes to Brad 5-2. No, you cannot make me change that. Change that. So if Carson does get sick and Brad wins, that's a correct prediction for me. I don't care what y'all say.
It doesn't look good for Curtis, though, if he does pull it off, then. Oh, boy.
Curtis
We're
better
going to
be
let him
Curtis
know.
better be Curtis better be taking all his antibiotics before that game if that's the case.
Oh, boy. Well, let's hope not. If I win, I don't take any of that, G. You've seen me in real life. It'd be a stunner to get me sick. Sure. But let's see what happens in that game. That's probably going to be an interesting game due to intangibles we can't control. All right, next one. Man, I Cinderella ends here. I like Abian way too much. Great play. I know the script says 5-3 here on the computer. I think he gets it done 5-2. I don't know if ALP can hang with this guy. He's going to be seeing a guy from 11 hours ahead. This is probably the hardest opponents he's seen. No offense to Kevin. Peter, I think, needs to work on more than just number efficiency. ALP will now see more than just number efficiency and more organic Uno. This is going to be more organic Uno with faster pace and a lot more hype and momentum for sure. I'm going all day. I'll be on 5-2. Not even going to hesitate on that one for sure.
I'm actually going to fully agree with you here. I think I'll be on 5-2. And I also think for Austin, I think he's going to get that first experience of that time zone difference game. I don't know what side of it he's going to be on, but definitely I think the biggest factor when it comes to the time zone difference is the mentality. So we've seen some verbal gameplay from LaPlante, and I think what happens is when the mental fatigue gets to you with some of these time zone differences, I think it really starts affecting your gameplay, and I think that's really what's going to be LaPlante's ultimate demise. But I think LaPlante's glad he's gotten into the Sweet 16. I think he's definitely shown up. He's shown out, and he's definitely looking to try to go further. Obviously, anyone can win on any day, but I just don't see it. I'm going to agree with you. 5-2, Abion. And you know what? I'm actually gonna just jump in on this last matchup here to start things out. Ashley in a sweep.
Okay.
Yeah. Monkey has so far played Myth and Vapor. Two veterans of the league who have had some questionable gameplay at times. We saw that happen in both. Ashley has none of that. Ashley's a world champion in a different. I guess we'll say a different server. Has shown out, balled out, and won out her pod, which was probably the pod of death. She was able to survive that. Meanwhile, Monkey had definitely one of the goofiest pods. Monkey himself, Myth, who kind of was just all over the place, just really has not shown out. Vapor, who was crazy and being silly the entire time he was playing, and then Eric Monaco, who had one of the most abysmal performances in the entire tournament. So Ashley has been facing battle after battle, left and right, and still getting through it all. Monkey has been playing in the preschool play bin. So again, I said it before, I think this reaches 3 coughing babies in a hydrogen bomb. I think with Monkey, it's a coughing newborn versus an atomic bomb. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't usually make these predictions, but I'm actually going with a sweep here, and Ashley's going to move on to the Elite 8. KT, what are your thoughts here? Sorry for jumping in first. I just wanted to get that one out of the way.
Well, that's fair. You're kind of on the R train. I think he said that last night, too, in the reveal show. I'm going to go a little bit more lenient on that. I'm going to give Monkey a chance. I think March Monkey is real. He's going to give Ashley a fight. I think it's going to be 5-3. Ashley will still win, but it'll be a fight. I'm not going to go that bold. I don't think I went bold in any prediction. It was more of his case of, you know what? Monkey has to be content. He's got something to prove. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I know he had a chip on his shoulder last September. I don't want to talk about that. But regarding this, he's going to realize that if it's a 3-3 game in Game 6 and we go to a Game 7, he's in a great spot. Because then it's like, oh, man, you know what? Even though I'm on the road, because remember, is he on the road? Yeah, he's on the road because Ashley gets 7-8 at home. He's still in it, right? And he's not out of it. He's actually got some life. So if he has to get to a 3-3, but if it starts turning into a 4-2 or a 4-1 or, God forbid, it's a 3-0 early, I don't know if he'll have the momentum. He needs to get this to a 3-3 quick. I think he will, but Ashley just has too much mental capacity. I know Ashley hasn't played 1 hour series yet. Monkey's been in some of those in the past. It's a different type of player he's playing. He's playing elite level. He has to give it 120% here. He's got to find some extra gears on the old shifter. And if he can't find them, I don't think it'll be enough. But he will give it 10. I'm not going 5-0. He came too far to get swept. I don't want to say it to the man, but I think he does lose an 8. Ashley gets it done, and give me Ashley Abion for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in also on one thing you said. You did mention like if it goes down like 4-2, 3-0, I think it's a problem. I think the moment that Ashley gets up at least by 3 games, I think the series is over. I don't see Monkey making that comeback against someone like Ashley, to be honest, and that's not really a major diss at Monkey. I just think that when it comes to comebacks, Monkey has not really been the best of it. In fact, he's kind of been someone who's historically blown some leads, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, I think the best advice you could give him is just stay cool, don't talk about other people's moms, and don't try to give
Oh
pep
God.
talks. So that's my advice. But yeah, any other
Oh
comments?
yeah. No, 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 no. I think it's let's move on to hot takes there. I don't know, Jimmy. You kind of made a hot take picking DJ over me. You got an extra one? An extra heater?
Do I have an extra heater here? I mean, obviously that pick is a hot take, but I mean, when it comes to this round, I guess the hot take I'll go with, and usually I like making hot takes when it comes to gameplay. Um, I do think we get a plus 25 card comeback at some point. I don't know what game it's gonna be, but I think there is gonna be a 25 card comeback. And that will be something to talk about for sure when it comes to the review for the Elite Eight if it does happen. But my hot take is that there's going to be at least a 25 card comeback in one of these games.
All right, that's fair. We've only seen, if I'm not mistaken, two or three. It's been very low. We haven't seen many card comebacks, but what we have seen is hour plus games. I'm going 5 out of 8. I'm going 62% of the games will go over an hour plus. These are some of the best competitors. Now we're extending it to a best 9 with 2 power plays. Let's face it, the broadcasts have been what 2 hours in some instances.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's been a long broadcast. I know G's only streaming 2, but I think we got 5. I say 5 out of the 8 games will go over an hour plus. The 3 that will be short, I couldn't handicap. I'll say Brad Carson, Ashley Monkey will be the 2 short ones, and I'm gonna throw in Yepes Tur. I guess those 3 won't. The rest will go an hour plus. They're all going to be long series
Yeah.
games, and it's going to be fun to watch. Gee, it's going to be a hell of a round. You know, we've got a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of people. If we started today, if Super League started today, and we went off results, only one
Pure
person, man.
chaos. Pure chaos. That's what I would have to say about it, to be honest.
What's that? Say again?
Pure chaos. That's what I would have to
Pure
say.
chaos, pure chaos, pure chaos. We started Super League, only one person would not be allowed in the dance because we obviously have the right to reserve to one D2 champion. But it would be pure chaos, and the only person that probably wouldn't make this the Super League format, you'd have to go by default, would be Retro because he played one less game and he only had a forfeit win. We went off of these 15, but that's why we don't predict in round 1. We don't predict T1 Super League. It's only early. This is going to change,
Yep.
similar to how you see on a stock chart. It's going to go up and down.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of a year. I think we've got a great format, a lot of great surprise, great stories, Cinderellas, some favorites, and through it all, we still had a region where it was just completely chalk. It should be a good one. And for the fans at home, we would hopefully we're going to bring back the D2 recap next episode, and we should be able to do an Elite Eight recap for sure, Sweet 16, and then an Elite Eight, the Final Four. We'll probably just recap the Final Four and finale all in one little package, because there's no point to do an episode then just do one. We'll just combine that in a package, and then G will have a post T1 and we'll get it right back at it, man. It's been a good tournament so far. Even though you're out of it, I'm sure you're starting to enjoy it a little bit more. And we'll look forward to seeing you back in T2. And let's keep it rolling, man. It's a
I
good
mean,
episode for sure.
yeah, I mean, definitely. I've seen this before. I saw this last tournament of last season also, where it's kind of like most of the time you're just a spectator. So definitely gives a different mindset on things. Again, you said it before. This tournament's been chaos so far. I think once we come to April and once that tournament concludes, I think we get a better picture on what the season outlook's going to look like. So having a bad March isn't the end of the world. I mean, having a bad first tournament also isn't the end of the world. I mean, look at Sanford.
Yep.
He did very poor in the first tournament he played in April, and then he came back to make Super League. So just because someone got out in the first round this tournament doesn't mean they're out of it. They still got a long season to go. Some obviously you saw some of the upsets. Some of the people who we expected to do really well this season go out early. Obviously April's the time to regain the ground they lost and just get back into the mix. But yeah.
we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of people that are also on the hot seat too, right? Because we do have such thing as promotion relegation, and
Yep.
yeah, we're not going to discuss that because there's a lot of people that would probably get pissed off about that. So we'll keep it at that. We'll keep it PG to end it off. But for G-Man and myself, we do apologize, like I said, for any mic issues that were happening during the episode. And we do apologize for not getting the Spotify audio. You'll get a double dose when you hear this coming out the next day on Spotify. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Pod, and of course, YouTube, our main base for this episode. For myself, KT, and my host, G-Man, this has been the Wildcard Episode 4, Round 2 recap and Sweet 16 preview. We'll see you for episode 5 in the coming weeks. Peace.